Welcome back to Cosmic Comics. Youngblood Strikefile number 3, published in August 1993. I don't even know what to say about that cover. Nice perspective, but the clouds make it feel like a bad dream. Creator and story, Rob Liefeld. Pencils and inks, Jay Lee. Script, Eric Stevenson. Color design and separations, Steve Olive and Ollie Optics. Lettering, Kurt Hathaway. Editor, Eric Stevenson. Film output, Kello Graphics. The issue opens with Chapel surrounded by a bunch of scientists or doctors in lab coats. Notably, they refer to Chapel by his real name, Mr. Stinson. His full name is Bruce Stinson. Chapel has been receiving regular doses of an experimental drug treatment and is about to get the next shot. The scientists ask him for a progress report. Chapel is feeling better than he has his entire life. He just wishes they could accelerate the results. The scientists explain that things like this take time and give Chapel an injection. These injections are part of a super soldier program, making Chapel stronger and more agile than other operatives. As Chapel gets up to leave, he assures the doctor as long as the stuff makes him feel good, he'll keep coming back. After his treatment, he finds Al Simmons waiting for him as he gets off the elevator. Chapel jokes that maybe Al is here to get some of the injections that he's been getting, but Al says not a chance. Al makes it clear why he doesn't want to be experimented on by Wynn's techno-geeks. He and Wanda are trying to have a baby, and he's afraid of complications untested drugs might introduce into that process. Chapel repeats what he said on the previous page. As long as he gets results, he doesn't care. Al wants to know if Chapel has ever asked about what's in those injections or how long the treatments have to last, but Chapel doesn't care. Chapel attempts to ease Al's worries by pointing out whatever is in them has to be good, because he and Al are too valuable to Wynn for him to have anything bad happen to them. Al isn't so sure about that. He thinks Wynn has been acting funny ever since he had them kill Duke. Wow, this is a subtle but important piece of information. Before now, it appeared as though Duke's death was something Chapel did on his own, but now we learn that Al was always in on the job. It is now years later, and Chapel has learned the truth. Wynn never cared about him. So tonight, Chapel is going to make Wynn beg for forgiveness. An hour later, Chapel is cutting voltage lines and killing dogs on his way into a compound in McLean, Virginia. Once Chapel arrives, he discovers that Wynn is expecting him. Wynn knows that Chapel is there to kill him. Before he dies, Wynn desires to share one piece of information with Chapel. Wynn asks Chapel if he ever wondered what was in those injections he used to take. Does Chapel think that the government would give him those powers without a failsafe? From his response, Chapel appears to think the failsafe is Bloodstrike, and the way he says this is confusing. Usually Bloodstrike refers to a United States top-secret assassination squad filled with, dead people who have superpowers but have been brought back to life under Project Born Again. Wynn has a crazy development for this early McFarlane-Liefeld shared image universe. 20 years or so ago, so on this timeline right now, that would have been 1972 or 1973, when the United States government first ran across the HIV virus during research and development, they chose to release it into the wild as a form of population control. And since the virus was found during R&D, it's implied that the virus was manufactured. The federal government continued their research, refining the HIV virus into a variant they could activate on command. When the Bloodstrike program started up, they infected every member of the unit as a way to control the team. Wynn is informing Chapel that as part of his injection program, Chapel was also infected with this variant of the virus. Wynn tells Chapel that his current team, Youngblood, has already been informed of his HIV status. The official story will be that it's blamed on Chapel's promiscuity. Remember the beginning of issue number 2 when Chapel talks about his favorite part of being a Youngblood? Wine, women, and more women. Using this against him is a great callback. Public perception of HIV during the 1990s wasn't the best, and Youngblood wanted to maintain a squeaky clean image. As a result, Chapel is discharged from the team. He's warned that if he tries to speak out, the government will bury him under a mountain of bad press, making it all appear to be Chapel's fault while denying their role in any of it. Chapel, feeling trapped, lets Wynn know that he can still take Wynn down with him. He can kill him, right here, right now. As Chapel prepares to kill Wynn, Wynn tells Chapel that they've developed a cure. Chapel puts down his gun and wants to know what Wynn wants. Wynn wants Chapel to work for him again. Chapel is transferred over to Bloodstrike to act as their new leader. The first 2 issues of Youngblood Strikefile are entertaining, but the 3rd issue gets crazy considering there isn't much action. The story arc inches forward instead of taking any huge strides until the end, but I have to admit that the entire thing, it kept me entertained. I enjoy the art style, and the characters felt like they were represented appropriately, both in their mannerisms and the way they looked on the page. The next issue of Youngblood Strikefile is the last of the original 4-issue run before the series takes a 9-month break. In it, we'll discover what happens to Overkill after his defeat at the hands of Spawn. Like, subscribe, ring that bell. Cosmic Comics, I'm out.